Hello, my name is Toby Gaudio, and for my lesson plan, I have decided to use the book Who Sank the Boat by Pamela Allen. Pamela Allen is an author from New Zealand who also wrote Mr. McGee and other classics. The book is about five animal friends: a cow, a donkey, a sheep, a pig, and a tiny mouse, who all decide to go for a ride in a little rowboat, but the boat ends up sinking. The story takes us through each animal getting into the boat one by one and keeps us guessing who will be the one to sink it. It's a great book about thinking about cause and effect, working together, and how even small things can make a big difference. Okay, so the concept for my lesson plan, it will be directed towards Year 2 students. It will run for about 40 minutes and it involves experimentation and collaboration work from my students. We're going to be combining literacy and science in this lesson. Through reading the story, students will practice important comprehension skills like predicting, questioning, and making connections to their own life experiences. They'll think about the characters and the order of the events and why the boat finally sank, even though in the story the last animal that sank the boat was the smallest. After the story, we'll get the students to work in pairs or in groups of three if there is an uneven amount of students in the classroom, to test how many objects they can fit into a model boat for it to sink. This links to our science learning, where we are beginning to explore how things push, pull, and how weight affects how different objects move or change. Overall, the lesson encourages teamwork, problem solving, and reflective thinking. It also supports students in seeing how the story can connect to real life situations. Okay, so why did I choose this book? Now, first of all, I think it's appropriate for the age group. I think lower primary years 1 to 3 is probably the appropriate age group for this book to be dedicated to. Second of all, this book is a classic in Australia and New Zealand and was a book that I remember reading when I was the same age as this lesson plan is catered to. Also, it teaches an important lessons where students can really get a sense of connection. The whole point that I'm trying to get across for my message of this story is no matter the size of anything, or maybe thinking that you're a bit different or thinking that you can't do something you want to do, you can still make a huge impact, and that can connect with them for their personal life, maybe something to do with sports, or maybe they want to get better at their grades. It doesn't really, the whole message of this book is I want them to not let anything hold them back, and to understand that there is no limit for their impact. And another thing I really like about this book is you can expand beyond literacy when you're reading this book for students. So obviously, we're not just focusing on literacy and focusing on the English aspect of reading this book. We're actually focusing on a science part of this book. So obviously, we're having an experiment, we're using materials, we're collecting results, and it's a good book because you can teach it from many different angles. Now, obviously, as I touched on why I chose this book, when we look at the cross-curriculum concepts that are involved with this book, we actually cover through 3 different subjects. So we start off with English, and the curriculum links that I discovered that were perfect for this lesson, that do cover it, was discussing literacy texts and sharing responses by making connections with children's own experiences. That's obviously when I'm asking if any student has been on a boat before. Discussing the plot, character, and setting in stories. That's the whole point of how I get my message towards these students. and discussing different text and identify some features that indicate their purposes, and using comprehension strategies such as visualizing, predicting, connecting, summarizing, monitoring, and questioning when listening, reading, and viewing to build literal and inferred meaning in text by drawing on vocabulary and growing knowledge of the context and text structures. Now, we also touch on a bit of art, which is experimentation with the use of materials, media, or technologies when creating artwork, and a bit of science, obviously, with a push or a pull effect of how an object moves or changes shape. And that's obviously a physical science. So these are the cross curriculums that I covered in my lesson plan. And yeah, thank you for listening.